I'm a multi-season challenger player, and today we'll be going in-depth on how to make educated decisions when it comes to drafting your very own champion pool. I recommend aiming for 3 champions when it comes to mid lane. Anything more than 4 would be considered griefing. The goal here is to pick multiple archetypes so that you're able to adapt to any draft in any situation. If you only play artillery mages, they all lose to the same thing, and if you only play assassins, what do you do if they pick all tanks?
Okay.
If your team drafts AD and you only play ADs, you're fucked. It's extremely important to diversify your selection so you always have an answer to even the most chaotic of drafts. My general rule of thumb is 1 AD assassin, 1 AP assassin, and 1 control mage. My recommendations for AD assassins include Zed, Talon, Akshan, and Katarina, all champions that are great in solo queue and have great roaming potential. My recommendation for AP assassins is Ahri, Vex, Katarina, and Lissandra, all strong champions that are capable of dishing out damage, having an early game impact, and relative safety. And my recommendations for control mages are Victor, Orianna, Anivia, and Veigar, all champions that are capable of scaling and having a great impact in the game if it's guaranteed to go to mid to late. Now, you might be wondering why 3. It's important to narrow your champion pool so that you have a deeper understanding of your champion's limits and your ability to execute said champion. After a while, it becomes second nature and opens up more brainpower to focus on the macro side of the game. If your pool is too broad, you're hopping from one champion to the next without ever really seeing improvement. A majority of high elo players keep a compact pool ranging from 2 to 4 champions across hundreds of games. For those of us who have work or other life obligations, we have a finite amount of time to work with. If we only have time for 200 games a season and we spread that out across 15 champions, it's just doomed. The next step is drafting. How do we utilize the champion pool we just built? The first thing you'll typically want to do is take a look at pick order. Pick order is the position in which you pick your champion, which is responsible for whether you'll be blind picking your champion or have the opportunity to counterpick somebody else. For solo lanes, having a winning matchup is something that can instantly swing the game in your favor. This is because a winning lane generates agency. What exactly does agency mean? Essentially, agency means having the ability to create opportunities. If you're in a losing lane, you'll have less impact on the game overall, as your opportunities to play the game are diminished, whereas being in a position to impact or influence the map is called agency or priority. When it comes to solo queue, the idea is to always pursue priority to make sure you have more impact in your games. As a mid laner, this is especially important with the meta shift. We have a lot of responsibilities, and catering to our mentally weaker jungler is a necessity because they're all trash at the game. If you find yourself in a situation where you have to blind pick a champion, such as first or second pick, this means you'll need to pick a champion with less punishing matchups or asked to swap. Picking a consistent champion that performs in all situations is your best bet rather than picking something volatile and just losing. The later you pick, the more information you have to work with. This will give you the opportunity to pick an ideal champion for the situation and getting a favorable matchup. You can always get away with more volatile champions that have bigger payoffs purely because they might not have answers to it or just flat out counters their entire composition. The second step to champion select is identifying your win conditions. A win condition is a circumstance in which your team can win the game. Example would be through scaling or snowballing. It's important to recognize what your team's win condition is because it makes it easier to determine how you'll play from the beginning, while also evaluating your shortcomings. If your team's win condition is scaling and the enemy's is early game snowballing, you'll want to prevent any unnecessary deaths early in the game. If you are playing on autopilot, you might fight for the sake of fighting because you're just bored. This is just an ego move, and you'll pretty much instantly lose control of your own win condition because you didn't even identify it to begin with. If there's absolutely no benefit to fighting, why do it? League of Legends is about creating favorable situations where you can succeed. Taking a 40-60 or even a 50-50 that risks your entire win condition is just stupid. So when your jungler fights a crab with scaling lanes and gets 3 people killed and you lose as a result of it, just remember that they're absolutely trash. Now that we've learned how to identify win conditions, what do you do if your team has absolutely 0 ways of winning a game based on the draft? You dodge. Yep, that's literally it. There's no overly complex method to pulling out a victory. The reality is that your chances of winning are already extremely low. The only consistent method is to not play at all. If you were to change only one thing in your climbing experience and see immediate gains, it would be utilizing dodges. If your sole intention is to climb, it's best to dodge games where you've lost a draft based on the champions you picked or just the win conditions you picked compared to theirs. Thanks for watching, and if you liked, remember to like and subscribe. I also stream daily at twitch.tv/Zianni at 11 AM CST. Link in the description. Thanks for watching.